Hey guys, it's John. So, Dead Space Remake just dropped a couple days ago, and it's normally the type of game that I would do a full Let's Play series on, but I decided to do a review style video for it instead. And I'm sure some of you are disappointed by that.
Fucking kidding me? Shit!
But actually, this isn't the first time that I've uploaded a review for a Dead Space game. You may not realize this, but the very first video I ever uploaded on this channel was a review for Dead Space 2. That was 12 years ago. It's no longer public because it's bad.
Some good things about Dead Space 2 are that it's prettier than the first, it looks sleeker and way cooler.
It's a bad video, but that was the first video that I ever uploaded to this channel. So actually also the very first Let's Play commentary video that I did was when I played Dead Space 2.
Oh my god, reload!
That's also not a good video. But anyway, it's a good thing I've improved a lot since then, right?
So you keep saying.
So I thought, how poetic would it be for the very first video that I ever uploaded to this channel to be a Dead Space review, and the very last video that I ever upload to this channel to also be a Dead Space review.
No!
I'm just kidding, of course. This isn't the very last video I'm ever gonna upload on the channel. I just thought it'd be fun to say that.
I'm done playing around.
Sorry. So, yeah, Dead Space Remake. You may remember back in October, I actually got flown out to San Francisco by EA to check out a really early build of the game. And I posted a video on it. I talked about a lot of the new features that were coming with the remake and how excited I was. And you may notice that that video was sponsored by EA. And you may notice that this video also says EA partner. So let's just clear that up for a second. The reason why it says that on this one is because they gave me an early code for the game. So EA isn't like approving this video. They're not like micromanaging anything. This is just a review video. They just asked me to put that because I got a code for the game. So yeah, don't worry. I don't have a gun to my head or anything like, yeah, Dead Space is really great. You know, blink twice if you're being held hostage. No, this is just a regular review, my honest opinions. And I'll just get started right off the bat by saying I think after playing through the entire thing, Dead Space Remake is a bop. It's really good. I had a great time with it. In fact, I'm already planning on playing through the game again. And if you know me, that's kind of unusual. I'm kind of a one and done sort of guy. I rarely come back to play the same game twice, but I'm already planning on a New Game Plus run, which more info on that later in the video if you're interested.
Okay. Time for a real autopsy.
So just general thoughts right off the bat. Yeah, Dead Space Remake is as close to a one-to-one remake that I think they could have made, considering the game is 15 years old. The original Dead Space came out in 2008, I believe. I'll be corrected on screen right now if that's wrong, but I don't think it is. 2008. So 15 years ago, right? Games have evolved a lot since then. So the visuals is the first thing you'll notice with Dead Space Remake. It just looks better. However, it's not as jarring as you might see with like Resident Evil 2 Remake, for example, which is more of a reimagining. So the original Resident Evil 2 is a fixed camera angle third-person game that came out on the PlayStation like forever ago, right? So when they remade that as behind-the-back third-person, especially, you know, what was it, 20 years after the game came out, it was a jarring difference. And I would say that the difference just visually for Dead Space Remake is less jarring than with that because it's not a reimagining. They took a lot of care to make sure that the game looked and felt and played very, very, very closely to the original. Now, it's not exactly the same as Dead Space. The first major difference that you'll notice right away with Dead Space Remake is the fact that Isaac talks.
Sounds like their communication array is busted. Maybe a broken encoder. Daniels and I can handle it in 48 hours, max.
In the original game, he's mute. He doesn't speak. And I don't mind this change at all. In fact, like, they had to make a lot of cutscenes different for Isaac to interject his thoughts and feelings on everything.
Sounds like they're having problems with their encoder. You get us down there and Isaac and I can fix it. 48 hours max.
But it does give the game some added depth that I think is just a benefit. And in fact, I'm going to go ahead and say, just in general, the changes that they made from the original are all beneficiary. I'm not going to get into too many of them because I don't want to like spoil anything. But yeah, Isaac talks. I feel like the game just overall is a bit more personable as a result. Like, they got new actors for Kendra Daniels and Zach Hammond, and I actually ended up liking both of the characters more in this game than I did in the original. Another new feature of the remake over the original is that the Ishimura is now fully explorable. In the original game, when you went to the tram, it just served as a loading screen for the next chapter, and then you loaded into a different map, a different area. In this game, in the remake, you can physically move around the map with the tram, and you can actually move around the map without the tram as well to different areas. So the Ishimura is one giant map. They had to change some things for this to make sense. So some things are structured slightly differently than they were in the original, but it all works. For example, the iconic bridge atrium, that's exactly the same. I didn't notice any difference while I was playing, like, hey, that shouldn't be there, or what's up with that? They also made the necromorphs break apart with a new system. I think it's called the peel system. So their bodies will break apart depending on what gun you use, from what angle you fire on. It's very evident with the force gun. The force gun will just like blow their skin off. It's kind of crazy, actually. So that was a cool change too. Less noticeable than Isaac talking or the restructure of the map, but cool nonetheless. Another change that they made to the remake over the original is the intensity director. And what the intensity director tries to do is it tries to take you off of your game a little bit. Like, they'll just spawn in some necromorphs behind you when you're going through an area you've played before, trying to adapt the experience to your play style. And I kind of saw this coming, but I didn't really notice it that much when I was playing through. I was kind of hoping that it would be a little less predictable and a little more chaotic, but it was, for the most part, it just kind of felt like you were playing a normal game. So that's probably the new feature of the remake that I noticed the least. Another difference between the remake and the original was the new side mission aspect to things. They have side missions now that you can engage with for, I believe, never before seen story missions that give a little more insight into what the crew of the Ishimura was going through before everything went down. So that was kind of cool. Now, I'm not covering all the differences between the remake and the original. There's so many, and I don't want to spoil anything, like I said. However, I will spoil one thing that I think is very important.
Fine.
So if you remember the original Dead Space, okay, there was a particularly frustrating sequence, in mine and many other players' opinion, the ADS sequence.
Better add it to your repair list.
It was the worst part of the game back then, playing in my freshman dorm room, and I'm proud to say that it has been completely revamped. It is completely different in this game. I'm not going to show you what it's like, but it's way better. It's not that. There's none of that here, okay?
We might actually get out of this nightmare.
The new ADS section actually perfectly encapsulates how I feel about most of the changes that this remake made to the original. Every change that I saw was of benefit to the new game. For example, I like the new dialogue and the cutscenes. Now that Isaac can talk, I like the new structure of the ship. I like the ADS changes, and a lot of the changes that they made are for the better. So I would actually go so far. Well, maybe not. I've only played through the game one time, whereas I've played through the original Dead Space, like 5 or 6 times, something like that. But I might even say that the remake is better than the original. They just did such a stellar job, no pun intended, of taking the original's charm and atmosphere and look and feel and adapting it for modern consoles and for modern game systems. I would say, as a remake, they did nearly a perfect job. There's some there's some things in the game that, there's flaws, right? But they're so minor that I feel kind of weird talking about them. It's just like nitpicks and stuff, and I'm not really about that. So now, I kind of saw the writing on the wall about this when I played the first couple chapters of the remake back in October, but I think what makes this remake feel particularly fresh and impressive is that it comes on the heels of Callisto Protocol. Now, I'm not a Callisto Protocol hater by any means. If you listen to my thoughts on the game at the end of my playthrough, I mean, I enjoyed the game for what it was. The game was well made, but it just was kind of bland to me overall. But after playing Dead Space Remake, it's just such a more complete and satisfying game than Callisto, which makes me kind of sad. I kind of wish that Callisto had put up a little more of a fight. But yeah, that rivalry kind of died down, didn't it? Like, I don't think that Callisto is a bad game, but it's just very average. The only negative for me with playing Dead Space Remake is, like I said, I've played the original 5 or 6 times. Since it's so similar to the original, it was like playing through the original for a 7th time. Like, for example, in this clip right here, I'm anticipating the necromorph coming out of the vent because I've played this part in the original game and I know that he comes out of that vent. I was definitely still taken by surprise by some of the necromorph appearances, which may have been thanks to the intensity director that I said didn't do anything earlier. I'm not sure, but I did still see a lot of the scary moments coming. And if you've played Dead Space several times, you might have a similar experience.
We'll see.
I think if you're a fan of the original, you should like this, unless you're really stuck on certain details and you're really nitpicky about things with the original, but we'll get to that in just a second.
Look, we can get into it later.
So I just want to say real quick, for those of you that were disappointed that I didn't do a Let's Play series on this game, if you're interested, I will be doing a New Game Plus run of Dead Space Remake on my Twitch stream next Tuesday. So that's what I'll be playing. I'll be trying to get some achievements. I did pretty well for myself on my first run through the game, achievement-wise. I found almost everything there was to find. Oh, actually, I'm glad that I'm talking about this now, because when I went through the game trying to 100% it, which involves finding these like master override boxes, it's like, I think it's a new thing in the remake. I don't remember it from the original, but I tried to return to the crew quarters and they just didn't load in. So I don't know. I didn't really like stick around and look at it too much. I thought for a second, I was like, did crew quarters get destroyed? But no, I think it just wasn't loading in for whatever reason. So that's honestly the only bug that I had in the entire game. Everything else was fine. So it wasn't like a game-breaking bug or anything. It just didn't allow me to go get this one last master override box that I needed for the achievement. But it's fine. I'll just get it on New Game Plus. Oh, another thing I'd like to say is that, I played this on PC, and PC ports are notoriously badly optimized by these AAA game devs. I played the game on Steam, and I played it at 1440 on high graphic settings, and it was like silky smooth the entire time. I know that's probably not the case for everyone, but I had just a really seamless time with it, which hasn't been the case with every AAA game that I've played on PC lately. So if that's worth anything to you, it seems like the game is pretty well optimized. And, I played through it on pre-release, so I'm sure that there's already been a patch to optimize things, or if there's not yet, there will be. So pretty impressive from that point as well. All right, well, that pretty much wraps up all of my thoughts about Dead Space Remake. There wasn't really a whole lot to say about it that wasn't positive. And one of the reasons that I didn't want to do a Let's Play series for it was because, like I said, I've played through the original so many times, and when I played through the early chapters back in October, I kind of got the feeling that it was going to be stuff I remembered from playing the original, and that it wasn't going to hit the same if I did like a blind live reaction to it, like with games that I hadn't played before. So I thought I would do something new with it. But I thought it'd be fun to cap the game off with reading some Steam discussions about the game, because there's some pretty unbelievable complaints about the game that I wanted to check out. Oh my god. Oh, they went woke, so they're gonna go broke. I love these threads. There's a lot of threads like these. There's a lot of them. I'm only gonna show this one, but there's a lot of people complaining because there's gender neutral bathrooms. There's a lot of people complaining about this piece of graffiti. It says, "Fuck this ship. It's a shitty capitalist organization." I'm not kidding. there's multiple threads about it. This is supposedly the quote wokeness that they can't handle. It's set them over the edge. Apparently, none of the characters in the Dead Space universe are allowed to have a rebellious thought or opinion about anything while their ship's getting taken over by zombies. They're not allowed to have any anti-capitalist sentiment.
I want off this fucking ship.
Was really hoping this remake wouldn't be a cheap jump scare fest like the original. Well, so you're telling me that a remake of a game is like the original game? What a shocker. Also, yeah, the game does have jump scares, but it's not constant and they're not cheap. They're earned jump scares because they create them through atmosphere and superior sound design. I really hate this take. I can't tell you how much I hate this take that horror games with jump scares are somehow cheap or bad. It's not the case. It's payoff for tension, all right? I'm done with it. I'm done with this. Well, fake Dead Space fans, how does it feel to be a part of the Losers Club? What? It must be so incredibly sad. You came from Fortnite, a fire game, by the way, Fortnite, fire game, to this all-new edition of Dead Space, which is a soulless cash grab, only loosely inspired by the original. But you don't care. You never have. And believe me, you never will. And that's because you were too busy going, too busy doing stupid, silly crap like that, which at the end of the day is going to get you nowhere. What is this post? What is this post? What are they writing here? What are they writing? What is this? Oh, yeah, I mean, just before I was recording this video, I was saying that to myself. I'm just sitting there staring at the wall saying that. Oh my god. Loosely inspired. I played through the whole game. It's like basically a one-to-one remake about like 90% of the way.
Yeah, but it makes no sense.
There's also a lot of people complaining about Nicole being, quote, ugly, which is hilarious because she just looks like a normal person. There's a lot of character model discourse happening that's just really ugly. A lot of use of the word female. The female models look worse. They look ugly. I mean, I think it just goes to show that a lot of these people don't really spend much time around real women, which is probably a good thing, frankly. Okay, I love this thread. Modders will fix it. Notice when they posted this, January 14th. This is 2 weeks before the game even came out, 2 weeks before anyone had actually played it. But look, they've already compiled a list of things to change. Character models and skins. Isaac, Nicole, Kendra, etc. all have subpar work. Okay, bud. Sound production is pretty off. Wow. Exhaustive analysis. Thank you so much for your trenchant insight. Actually, the sound production was a highlight of the game, as I've already said. I do not understand. What kind of criticism is this? Oh, it's pretty off. What a terrible critique. Diversity in necromorph hairstyles. You can't be serious. Why is every necromorph bald? Why are so many of them so clean looking? Does everyone on the ship have alopecia? This is just... Oh, this is Reddit, of course. Let's play a little game. Are you ready? I'm gonna play a clip for you of a line that Kendra says at the beginning of the game. And you tell me what you think people are making hundreds of threads about. Okay? Ready? Here we go.
That's her? Nicole?
Yeah, first deferred from her in weeks.
We're 5 minutes out. You still got that thing on repeat? Guess you really miss her.
Ishimura is not a job you turn down, but 6 months apart with only vid calls. It's rough. Easy to say the wrong thing.
I don't blame you. I'd listen to my girlfriend over Hammond reciting security protocols.
Forewarned is forearmed, Miss Daniels.
All right, did you catch it? Did you figure out what the controversial line was? If you guessed that it was Kendra daring to use the phrase, quote, my girlfriend, then you're correct. They already had to woke it up. Bro. Okay, first of all, it wouldn't be an issue at all if Kendra was a lesbian. But as you just saw in the clip, she's just saying it from Isaac's point of view. Like, yeah, if I had a choice between listening to my girlfriend and listening to Hammond bang on about some boring statistics, I know which one I'd pick. It's just amazing to me that these people fly off the handle about something so small. It's incredible. Not even a minute into the game and they changed the dialogue for the female engineer. Her name's Kendra. Put some respect on Kendra's name. So I just wanted to make it clear about a lot of the complaints that I just covered that I don't think they're worth listening to, and I completely disagree on all of them. I think overall Dead Space Remake is a massive success, and like I said, I'm getting ready to play it a second time. I'm really excited. I hope this video was helpful and entertaining, and I'd like to do more things like this in the future. So, what do you think about Dead Space Remake? Have you played it yourself, or have you just watched someone play it? Did you play the original Dead Space before you played Dead Space Remake? Or is the Dead Space Remake the first time you're dipping your toes into the franchise? I'd love to hear what you think. Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Think critically.